here communicative skill comes in. If you cannot communicate your need, if you cannot communicate what you understand or what the message is to you, then it is a big drawback. Certainly you will be failing, you'll fall out, you will not be able to give your assignments on time, you will not understand what is happening. And for this, like in the traditional classes, if you remember, we had talked about the 7 C's.
Yes.
You see, of language. You see how to be clear.
Yes.
You see, 7 C's are very, very important. You have to be correct. You have to be clear. You have to be concrete. You cannot be vague. When you ask a question, you must know exactly where you fall short. I don't understand this. Where don't you understand? It is very, very important for you to point in that particular section. Then to be concise. We cannot have essays here anymore. You see, you have to learn to be concise, because online people who go online and do not have the time to read pages and pages of writing. So we need to be, and you need to be coherent. You need to know the language so well that every word that you speak out is meaningful. And then it must be complete. It cannot be halfway. Otherwise, there's a break in communication. And finally, something which we forget very often is courteous. This is so important. Now, in the traditional setup, this perhaps would not be so important. Maybe it is important, but maybe we can just overlook that. But here, everything is going on record. All right. So you cannot, maybe you will not have the chance to say sorry if you're discourteous to a person. And many things, you see, the entire message will fall short or will break down if you do not have the right manner of tone, language, your manners. And that is, we are moving on to netiquettes, you see. And students know very well the norms of netiquettes. I don't have to teach them how they have to behave while using the net. Besides this, this is just a general manner of handling communication. But besides this, more technical would be, of course, the using of the smartphone, texting. Then you have the WhatsApp chats, etc. Then video conferencing. Then ICT, which is very much like information technology. You should know the system very well. Try to know the system well. Then you come with the LMS, the Learning Management System.
Okay.
Then you have, of course, the students know this more than I do, the voice threads, now the podcasting, then the go-to-meeting systems, all right, the apps, the wiki, the live videos, the Blackboard collaboration system. You see, these are all openings for the students. This is such a vast, wide spectra of usages, systems, which the student must equip himself with while going through online studies.
Right.
I mean, it is very exciting for them.
Yes.
Even for us, as I told you, with all our gray hair, it is exciting at times when we don't get scolded by the younger generation for not falling too quickly. It is exciting for us, but we are slow in learning. But this generation is so fast. All these apps, all these systems must be at the tip of their fingers. So again, I'm repeating that I'm talking about the urban students. Maybe for the rural, it is something quite different. Now, the urban, more than chatting about so many other things, they can concentrate in using these apps, these systems for their studies, for their education. And it can be very exciting. You see, they can form groups, they can have group discussions, they can communicate with the faculty, they can give their opinions, they can give comments, they can forward their queries. And there's so many things they can do. Right. You see, they can just give an idea and ask for on that or reactions on that. And it can be a very exciting kind of a situation, a kind of an interaction, if they will it so. So for that, they have to equip themselves. It is not enough that you have a good computer, you have a good network system, but they have to learn how to use it through all these ways. So this is, these are more or less technical things that I'm talking about. Now, moving from here, you see, we step into something which is little difficult. I mean, it's like nothing very white and black and white. We move into gray areas here, and that is sometimes you find the student. We are moving into psychology now. The third problem that students often face, and they do not address it also. You see, sometimes they're disgruntled, they cannot concentrate, and in these cases, you see, they are in the classroom, they are completely dissipated, they're completely dissatisfied with the entire setup. They don't want to concentrate, they don't want to listen. They have the facilities, they have the equipments, the tools, the communication skills, yet they are disinterested. So what is the matter? Here you find that they have these psychological problems, which are very, very sometimes very personal. And here I would like to tell the students that please consider each of you, that each of you are so important. You have so much potential. Now here I would, I wish I was not speaking at the webinar and I had the protection of my classroom where I could whisper all the wrong things, so-called wrong things to my students very safely.
That's all right, ma'am.
You see, I am a great fan of George Bernard Shaw in literature, a dramatist, great English dramatist. Now, he was the person who would all the time reverse the socially accepted maxims, like poor are the blessed. We say the poor are the blessed. Now, he would question that. How can the poor be blessed? You see, they are reeking in poverty. They are so desperate. How can you call them blessed? You see, in that similar fashion, I would like to talk over that maxim, do unto others what you would have others do unto you. Now, I'm going to reverse that. I'm not going to go in along with this.
Okay.
I'm telling, do unto yourself, not others.
Okay.
Do unto yourself, what you would have others do unto you.
Okay.
Think of yourself while you are on the 11th and 12th class. Think only about yourself. Now, to understand this better, I would like you to go, I will give you an example. Supposing you're traveling in the plane and you see the air hostess and she's giving a demo. What does she say? She says that in crisis, in the times of crisis, when you're taking down the oxygen mask, first put the oxygen on yourself. Use it for yourself, and then you think of others. So here, when students of the 11th and 12th standards come up, it is time for them to focus. Fine, the world moves on, but you have to, first of all, you see, train yourself to the best of your potential, to the best of your ability, and learn to be selfish with a capital S. All right? Now, students must be, wondering what is this man talking about?
No, ma'am,
teaching us to be selfish.
My philosophy. I keep on insisting, be selfish in your studies.
Yes. Or maybe I could give them more moral sounding words like self-centered, focused, self-driven, more euphemistic word. But it all boils down to the fact that it is about the self. Now, when you are concerned about yourself, when you think you are important, then everything that you do becomes important. I'm talking from the psychological point of view. Please consider each of you to be very, very important in your lives. When you think that I am important, I am good, I cannot do something unimportant. I cannot shy away from my online studies. I cannot fall back in my assignments. I want to step ahead along with my peer group. I want to be the leader. You see, that kind of a motivation comes along. And this do it yourself, for yourself, is the motto of this time. Because you see, it's enough of teachers spoon feeding the students. We have had that in the traditional classes all the time. We are spoon feeding the students. It was a terrible kind of a situation where we are waiting, everyone is waiting, parents are waiting. How much can you spoon feed with the silver spoon almost, you see? Now the times are changing. Do it yourself, all right? The teachers are there to guide you, and you must also understand that the teachers are also learning. You see, you cannot depend too much on the teachers. This independent thought will change the attitude, hopefully. I want the attitude of the students to change with this very, very strong feeling of oneself in them. And this will immediately, I have a good feeling, because they are so full of potential. Their worries, most of their problems will naturally, very, very easily be eliminated. Now, do I have time, Seema?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Okay.
Ma'am, lots
All
of
right.
time. Please carry on.
Okay. I was just wondering because I start talking and then.
Oh, ma'am,
all right.
carry on, ma'am.
All right. Now, the next very important thing is the inattentiveness of students. You see, psychologically, they cannot be attentive. Now here, again, I will take the help assistance of literature here. I'd love to go back to literature. Now here, you see, we have this concept of, in literary criticism, that is stream of consciousness technique, made very, very popular by the novelists James Joyce and Virginia Woolf. Now, what is it? This is a system, a kind of a concept while dealing with mind wandering. You see, the mind wanders, and it is a very, very natural phenomenon. Now, just imagine you are a devout devotee. You have an exam. A student has an exam. She goes to the temple or her puja house, and she prays that she wants to pray that, God, please help me do well. Very, very devout. Now, the moment she stands there, she starts praying. She hasn't even finished when her mind wanders somewhere else. She's thinking whether she had taken the book that her friend had asked her to take, whether her mother has prepared the breakfast that she likes, whether the lunch is a hamburger or a sandwich or a lucy bhaji or what. You see, the mind is uncontrollable. It will wander. So when we talk about inattentive students, students who cannot concentrate, let us not go down with a hammer on the students. This is something I always try to understand, even in my classroom. You see, and this was more so when I had to do orals. We used to take bagfuls of chocolates because we couldn't concentrate. We were falling off to sleep. Then we could understand the plight of students in our lecture class. So this mind wandering is a universal phenomenon. And you see, if you remember, there's a beautiful poem I think I'd written somewhere. It is a young poet. She writes, nightfall is when peace should, she writes, nightfall is when peace should come. No, it's never for me. I am kept away by my mind, as restless as the sea. The mind is always restless, fleeting. You cannot just hold it in your hand. It flies. So we have to address that. We have to find a solution for that instead of coming hammer and tongs on the students. And if you remember your hymn, we are all Assamese in Assam. In Lakshmi Puja, there is a very, very popular hymn where we sing Kidia Pujim Tumak. You see, what kind of offerings do I give to you, Mother Goddess? What kind of offerings? Everything is so tainted. My flowers are tainted. The water is tainted. The food I touch is tainted. Do I offer you my mind? And when I offer you my mind, I cannot offer you my mind because my mind is not still. It is fleeting. All right. So why do we blame the students? We have to come to terms with the fact that the mind will wander. Now, what is the solution? How will you bring concentration in your students? So here I would like the faculty to come in, you see, and there must be a kind of a collaboration. Faculty must bring in innovative strategies, different systems, different kind of preparations, plans, so that you keep bringing back the mind. The mind of the students will definitely flee, but you have to keep bringing it back into the classroom until it enjoys what is happening in the classroom. This is one of the very important things I feel very personally about, you see. And then you realize that some people may say, this is an impossible task. Well, I don't think it is impossible, because if Don Bosco, the Italian priest Don Bosco, in the 19th century, could bring all the hoodlums of the Italian streets, bring them together and make them study with him in peace and quiet, surely our teachers, our faculty can do a lot more. And also the onus is also on all the other stakeholders of learning. It's not only the teachers. The teachers are trying, the students are cooperating, the backup is given by parents, the government, the politicians, all those who think that education is important. And in this case, online education, because for some time, we have to concentrate on this aspect. I think this is all that I would like to say. But again, I would like to say that there is a lot more to say about the rural children. The digital divide that separates the urban and the rural is phenomenal. You really cannot measure it easily. And for that, we have seen that they're just touching very slightly on that topic. There are phenomenal work being done by the NGOs and other groups like the e-Vidyalaya. Fantastic work have been done. That's where they
government, right, ma'am?
Create
Okay.
This is not a government, this is an NGO.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. It's an initiative by an NGO.
Vidyalaya.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. So e-Vidyalaya helps create facilities, all right? And even our students can help them. You can join in e-Vidyalaya, and in many states of India, this is happening. They create facilities, they go and teach, they become the faculty, and you see, train the rural students, because people have been, while I was doing my research, my very, very micro research, in fact, people were telling me that, all right, you're talking about online studies, what about the rural children? How on earth can they do anything? So then I came across this e-Vidyalaya, and I was really impressed at the work, because even our students get involved and help them, and by helping them also help themselves.
Okay.
So this is all that I would like to speak on today.
Okay, ma'am. There's a question that has come up for you, ma'am. Ma'am, do you think that online education demands a great sense of compassion on the part of both the teacher and the student in order to
Yes.
facilitate better understanding on both the ends.
Definitely.
Yes.
Compassion is one quality which is not only very, very important in the traditional and so studies. You find that children are struggling. As the children are struggling, we must not forget that the faculty is also struggling.
Right, ma'am.
Everything is so new for transition. And we have to help one another, assist one another.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, another student had asked, like, ma'am, can you suggest some effective tools or tips for effective communication? Some tips for effective communication. Some tips for effective communication, ma'am. Some techniques or tips for effective communication. Ma'am, can you hear me? Your network, I think you're having a problem. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, the question is
first
tips, certain tips for effective.
All right, tips.
Yes. I think due to network, we have lost her. We'll wait now, Prabhu. Her network was fluctuating.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll wait for, yeah. Students, please put some questions. Y'all have heard what ma'am has said. So do put forward any questions, any queries coming to your mind. Ponder on what she has said. Very important is your wandering mind. In class, which frequently happens, your mind wanders here and there. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear? Ma'am, you're muted. Ma'am, you're muted.
All right.
Yeah, I think there's a network problem. Yeah, ma'am.
All right. Unmute.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
All right. So the two important tips for communication, first of all, is keep communicating.
Okay.
First, basic communicating.
I think there's a network
You
problem.
may use the wrong words. Second tip is try to learn
I think there's a problem.
to learn the language in which you're communicating.
Can you hear, ma'am? I think there's a problem with your network. Your voice.
Yes, I can hear very clearly, very clearly.
Okay. So, ma'am, what about introverts? Introverts, I think this is an advantage for them, don't you think so, ma'am? Usually in class, what happens is that introvert student usually shies off to ask questions. But do you think that this is a platform where an introvert can actually communicate in a better way with the teacher, as he can chat, as he can type, as he can write down electronically, rather than, you know, what happens in a typical classroom? What is your opinion, ma'am? I think there's some
that is a input. You see, online teaching not only
we can't hear you, ma'am. Yeah. Your network.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, we can hear you now.
All right. This is a important point, because when you
No, ma'am, we can't hear you. connectivity issue, I think,
Hello.
ma'am. Ranjita ma'am, we can't hear what you're saying. Ma'am, will you log off and log in again? Maybe that will work.
Okay. Okay.
So children, by the time Ranjita ma'am comes, logs off and joins us again, some connectivity issues we are having. But let me tell you, let me stress on what ma'am has said. And as far as the government is concerned, she has mentioned about e-Vidyalaya, very good. But I wanted to tell you that even the government has undertaken, just like, when the pandemic had started, the government, they came up with all the, whatever prevention and whatever steps needs to be undertaken. As far as education is concerned, there also government has come up with various schemes. Now, schemes like Swayam, you go across these particular schemes and it is so interesting. Very good materials are there, study materials are there, question papers are there, so that students go through these study materials, go through these particular, questionnaires which are there being prepared by renowned established educationists. There are portals like Diksha, which is meant for the class 12 students. There are portals like e-Pathshala. We have Swayam, which is meant for students class 9 and class 12. So ma'am has mentioned about e-Vidyalaya. I'm mentioning about these particular portals. Do take the help of these portals. There are texts, many material relating to what we are teaching in class. So that will be an aid for you all. Then regarding the, the what I was asking, ma'am, I think this is a very important chance, actually, a very good opportunity for the children who are very shy. Isn't it? That those who are shy usually don't feel like asking questions in class. Face to face, a classroom platform is there. But then, we hesitate that what will my friend think. But I think because of online, this is what I wanted to ask. And not only that, do focus on the very important mind which happens with y'all, the point. Our mind just wanders off, isn't it? I catch many of y'all in my classes when I know that he or she is just nodding his head, right? So that is another important point. So let's wait for 2 more minutes, otherwise we can sign off. Maybe she's having problem with her network. No, Prabhu, I think she's having network issue right from the beginning, the video
Yes,
was
ma'am. Right.
frozen. Yeah, we just wait for 2 more minutes, otherwise we can sign off. So we have 2-3 questions out here. Let me answer till ma'am comes. The most important one out here is, ma'am, for how long the online education will go on? I think that online education, as far as the pandemic is concerned and beyond that, this is a very good platform which has come up. In fact, since when the education system has been talking about ICT, the use of the ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear. I think there's some connectivity issue at your end.
Yes, connect problem.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
All right, that was a beautiful input that you gave me about the introvert student.
Yes, ma'am.
He gets a massive scope, you see here,
Yes,
and he can
yes.
feel that he's so important. He's equally important. And
Yes.
where he sort of, you see, there is two things playing here.
Yes.
The other students are there, but not actually looking at him, and he can rise above himself and have the confidence of speaking. And while he does it for a time or so, then he can become like the other generals. Have the
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, from my end, I wanted to know. Ma'am, I think you're frozen again. Can you hear?
No, ma'am, she is frozen again.
Again frozen, that's
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
Ma'am, I think there's still some issue with the network. Your voice is breaking, ma'am. So I think we can wind off Prabhu sir, isn't it? Because since we are having network issue,
Yes.
Ranjita ma'am, I would like to extend my sincere thanks, and I'm so happy, ma'am, that my students have got a taste of what I always used to tell to them. I always used to tell them about you, the way you teach your students with such a lot of love that there was pin drop silence in the class, and neither did she ever shout at us, neither did she ever remind us that please be quiet. So it was her teaching technique which was so interesting, which was so mesmerizing, that we all used to listen to her without her giving us a reminder, whether we are in the first bench or in the last bench or wherever you are sitting. No one would ever be, distracted. They would just be, it was mesmerizing. Ma'ams, always, always, all the classes that we have attended.
Thank you so much.
My juniors who have passed from there, and my students, some of them who had, even gone there, and they would tell me, ma'am, Ranjita ma'am is exactly like, how you used to tell us. Swan Kejriwal used to tell me, ma'am, she is exactly like how you had told us. So ma'am, it's been a great honor for having you amongst us. Although towards the last part, the question and answers, questions did pop up, but then network issues, so we cannot really go ahead with the questions. I think the network has already gone. Thank you, Anubha ma'am, for your support. Vinita ma'am, thank you once again for guiding me. Prabhu sir, thank you so much. Anandita, thanks a lot. And to everyone, my friends who have been there, my commerce students, and all the students who have attended this webinar. Thank you so much. Namaste.